Hello, vinyl community people, on a Saturday, a sunny Saturday. It's Mike MGK Boston back with another video. So last weekend, did a couple things. I'm trying to remember, time flies. I did that Richard McCook contest entry with the quarters theme, and Edward over at Prog Hat made a video, and he gave me a shout out regarding, because I had showed the Stephen Stills self-titled debut, because you were to show 4 eponymous debut records for Richard's contest. So on a Stephen Stills note, I thought I'd do like a feature today. I'm going to call this Stillsapalooza, ripping on Lollapalooza. It's Stephen Stills Saturday, if you will, right? So I'm just going to showcase all things relative to Stephen Stills, okay? So anyway, I don't have the debut from his first band, Buffalo Springfield, but I do have the follow-up, and that's this record right here. It's called Again. Of course, with Neil Young in the band, Richie Furay, and some other dudes. Mr. Soul kicks this off. That's a Neil Young composition. There's a couple of other good moments on this. Rock and Roll Woman, and I really like Expecting to Fly. That's probably my favorite Buffalo Springfield song, and that's again called Expecting to Fly. If you don't know that, look it up. And of course, they were on the Atco label. So there you go. Follow up to that one. It's a record here called Last Time Around, because it was the last time around in 1968. This is just kind of, I think they owed the record company another album. It's not very good, but there is a couple moments on here, and they are Stephen Stills moments, like Special Care, really good one, and he does that later on in his solo career. And 4 Days Gone, of course, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young did a good version of that one too. But yeah, those, and Kind Woman, that's another good one too. Yeah, so yeah, it's okay. Last time around for the Buffalo Springfield, because they disbanded right after that. This is a compilation from 1973. It's definitely really comprehensive. It's a double LP set, if you will. There's the band right there, an old photo on the inside, all dressed up, suit and tie. And then there's more from the same photo shoot on the front. So yeah, this is really stacked. I mean, from the debut, which I don't have, is the song For What It's Worth. That was a huge hit. What else is on here? Well, it's just the best of Buffalo Springfield, so everything's here. Again, a song I just mentioned called Kind Woman, Special Care again. And of course, 4 Days Gone, on and on and on it goes. So again, double LP set. It's just called Buffalo Springfield, and lists the band members right there. All right. And then, Edward Prog Hat is his channel. As I mentioned, he showed this when he was giving me the shout out. This looks like it's been dragged through 3 war zones, not 2. It looks like a disaster, but this record is actually in near mint condition, the record itself. And of course, this is the Bloomfield Cooper Stills Super Session. And there was a couple other side people involved in this. Of course, Barry Goldberg also played electric piano on this with Al Cooper too. There's Stephen Stills right in the corner right there. So this is essentially a blues psych album. Stephen Stills, like I said, when I was doing that contest entry for Richard, I think he's just a terrific guitar player. He could have been a blues man all the way, but then he goes into folk, and then he even goes into some bluegrass once in a while. I'll get into that in a minute with one of the later albums, but this is just really, really essential. Of course, Mike Bloomfield, really accomplished at this point, really, peaking out. Everybody wanted to play with Mike Bloomfield, and for a good reason. He was an exceptional guitarist, and there they are in the studio on the back right there. But yeah, this is a really wicked album. If you like any kind of blues or any kind of jam and psych, I wouldn't call this a jam band. This is more of a blues album, and it's an essential blues album, I would say, and it's Bloomfield Cooper Stills. Probably showed some of these before, but for Stillsapalooza, I'm all in with all Stephen Stills. So sorry if there's some repetition here to people who watch my channel regularly, but what the hell, I'm doing this anyway. So so Crosby, Stills, Nash. So at this point, this band formed right after the Buffalo Springfield, out of the ashes of that, and then Stills did that Bloomfield Cooper Stills, and then a year later, after Bloomfield Cooper Stills, which was 69 in 1970, probably one of the biggest debut records of all time, is the self-titled Crosby, Stills, Nash. There they are on the front porch. Nice couch. They're just hanging out. Nice shot of the guys there. It looks like it's wintertime. Winter in Melbourne with Ben Rankins. Then we bore that coat from David Crosby. So if you don't know this album for some reason, you've clearly been living in hiding. So what do you got? Sweet Judy, Blue Eyes, Marrakesh Express, Guinevere, Pre-Road Downs, Wooden Ships, Long Time Gone. I mean, it's really great. Yeah, so this inner sleeve's kind of battered, and I had to replace it with this plastic. But record, again, is in great shape. So, again, there they are, hanging out on their best lawn furniture right there. The three guys known as Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Right after that, he did this debut solo album, and this is the one I showed in Richard McCook's contest entry right there. I'm not going to go on and on about it because I just talked about it last week. That's his self-titled debut. Really a 5-star album. Yeah, really great. And then right after that, we go into Deja Vu, 1970, the same year as that solo debut. There's Steve right there. Side Dave. Yeah, when David Crosby wasn't playing with guns or doing coke, I'm sure he was a lot of fun in the studio, but he was a notoriously difficult personality. There he is with a gun, ironically. Isn't that hilarious? So yeah, this is nice embossed cover, Deja Vu. Everybody knows this album, so I'm not going to go on and on about it. And then right after that, so that was the album with Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Neil Young had joined the band at this point, I should point out. And then he just didn't get along with the Cros, and they did this 4-Way Street. This was recorded across a number of shows, I believe in the summer of 1971. And yeah, Neil Young, more of a rock and roller. David Crosby, more into the harmonies. But yeah, it worked out, and it worked out well on this live set. Again, this is called from different venues, different concert dates. There they are all on the stage. Of course, Crosby favored more of an acoustic sound. And like I said, Neil could do both, electric or acoustic, and same with Stephen Stills. Yeah, so there, of course, in the Atlantic label. Yeah, really, really great album. I mean, Pre-Road Downs, a song I just mentioned, is on here. Long Time Gone, they do a really great version of that on here too. And of course, yeah, Ohio and Southern Man too. Really great. And then the follow-up to that solo debut is Stephen Stills 2. So again, I'm repeating myself, but in that video last weekend, I said that Stephen Stills 2, which I didn't show, was equitable and just as good as the debut. It's not. I take that back. I listened to this the other night, and I'd say it's half as good as the debut. But again, it's not a throwaway record, but it's still pretty good. Comes in hot with changed partners. Nothing to do but today. Really great guitar chops on that one. Mary Ann's a nice song. But yeah, it's got more bumps in the road than smooth sailing on this one. But again, I'm a bit of a completist with Stephen Stills, so here it is, Stephen Stills 2. There he is. Looks like he's on an airplane there, looking out the window in a contemplative mood there with those giant sideburns. All right, then always working with other musicians. Formed this band called Manassas. They did this double LP set. This is the debut from 1972. This was formed around Stephen Stills and, of course, Chris Hillman, who'd been in the Byrds, and a bunch of other session guys. All great players on this one. There you can see all the personnel listed, and they're on the front. And there's Stephen Stills over at the side, like they're waiting for a train here, and they're in Manassas. I think Manassas is a city in West Virginia or Virginia. Maybe someone could comment on that. My geography may be off on that. So again, it's a double LP set. There's Stephen Stills down in front right there. Nice kind of black and white photograph. So it's kind of divided into 4 parts each side. So there's one that's sort of a country and western. There's one that's sort of a bluegrass. There's a rock side, and then there's a blues side. So it's all divided up, but it all flows together. It's really excellent. Probably my favorite side on this album is this one. Kicks off with Song of Love, Rock and Roll Crazies, Cuban Bluegrass, Into the Jet Set, which is it kind of goes into like a Rocky Mountain Way, the Joe Walsh song. That's really good. But this whole double LP set, I would call this essential if you like Stephen Stills. There's Steve right there. Yeah, again, Atlantic. Contract guy with Atlantic. All right, so that's Manassas. Where are we here? Oh yeah, 1974. We're moving right through the 70s here. So this is just a compilation. I would call this a hits compilation. It's just Crosby, Stills, Nash on this one so they regrouped in 1974 and did a big tour, stadium tour. In fact, this is probably one of the first bigger stadium tours for a rock band up until this point in music history in 1974. And they didn't have a new album to tour on, so Atlantic threw this together, and it's, again, it's a hits compilation. So Wooden Ships, Teach Your Children, Ohio, Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, Guinevere, Helpless, of course Woodstock as well, which they played Woodstock in 1969. The incarnation was of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young played at Woodstock, I should say. It was all four of the gentlemen there for that. But this again is just the three guys back to the original lineup of CSN. So yeah, this is just, again, just to, and this was a huge selling record, but again, it's just like a greatest hits album. But yeah, I picked this up for a few bucks several years ago just to have it, and I have it. So there you have it. Now you have it so far, right? All right, and then over 1975. Yeah, so this is Stephen Stills live. So again, this is one where it's pretty interesting the way he set this up. This is the electric side. You can see right there. And then when you flip it over, you have the acoustic side, right? So I'm a big fan of both, but I actually listened to the electric side last night. I would say I prefer it, but I listen to the whole album. I will listen to the whole album through. Maybe I'll listen to the acoustic side today if I'm feeling mellow. So on the electric side, you've got Wooden Ships, 4 Days Gone. Again, that song Jet Set I mentioned goes into Rocky Mountain Way. That's on that Manassas album too. Both good versions. This solo version and the album with Manassas. Look them both up and dare to compare. Really solid jam. Jet Set goes right into Rocky Mountain Way, and it's just killer. He's such a great player. Like I said, I can't give him enough accolades. And he's now 78 years old. It's hard to believe. But his son had a band too, Chris Stills. I don't know much about them, but I'm gonna look them up and see what they're like. Just because it's his son doesn't mean he was as talented as Stephen Stills. But I know there was an outfit before COVID, and they were calling themselves the Chris Stills Band. So I don't even know if that's still happening, but I'm gonna look that up later. I just thought of that now for some reason. The wheels are spinning with the music and the thoughts and, blah, blah, blah. So that's Stephen Stills Live from 1975. Really great record. These are all good. I mean, there's really nothing bad. This is probably, I shouldn't say that because this is probably his worst, but I don't mind it. But he's one of those guys. A bad Stephen Stills album is still better than a lot of, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. A shitty top 40 record on a good day, whatever. He's great. So anyway, this is called Illegal Stills, kind of ripping on the moonshine thing. You can see the jar here that you would have bottled moonshine in if you had a still. And it's on the back here, you can see it's produced by Stephen Stills and some guy named Don Gammon, I don't know. But yeah, there's a couple of moments on here. Buying Time's good. State Line Blues is probably the highlight on this one. And of course, you can see right here, it's like this is the logo for the Moonshine Company. And they're our founder, Stephen Stills. And it's bottled in jars, right? It's Illegal Stills. All right. And where are we here now? All right. So, so then he got back with Neil Young in 1976. You can see right here, it's called the Stills Young Band. And the name of this one, of course, Long May You Run. Yeah, and that's the title track, and I would say the best song on this. I like Fontainebleau is good too. Ocean Girl's all right. Midnight on the Bay. I mean, it's okay. They did the one album, and it was one and done. So they were that was in 1976. And I think they were seeing the gravy train because David Crosby and Graham Nash, this was their first, I think, in 1973. They didn't hate each other too much, so they did this, and they did probably 5 or 6 records together, actually. And I have some more from into the 80s. They still work together, the two of them. There they are waving, and now they're all happy times, and there they are on the back, and love there, the two of them, Crosby and Nash. Oddly, Graham Nash is one of those guys. There's Graham there. Aloha, he's got his Magnum PI shirt on there from another one maybe from the Ben Rankin's summer collection. And there he is with the Cross. There on the back. So yeah, so these guys, Wind on the Water came out, and then I guess, Neil and Steve were like, hey, we got to cash in and try to get involved, put something together, and they did, and this did okay, but Wind on the Water did much better, and this came out the same year, and that was 1976, and there they are. So I just thought I'd show those just because it kind of ties into this, Long May You Run. All right, and we're running right down to the end here. So this is looks like a little yacht rock, doesn't it? Almost looks like a Jimmy Buffett cover. They're out on a boat floating around. I don't know why Stephen Stills is wearing this hat. It looks like summertime. That'd be kind of hot. But what are you there on the back? See with the harmonies, right? They're just belting them out together right there, and they actually look like they're having a pretty good time right there, right? They're all happy. So yeah, this is 1977. Shadow Captain is a good one on here. Carried Away, and In My Dreams is good too. This is very mellow. It'd be nice if you were floating around in a boat and throw this on like these guys are doing right here. So that's the end, folks, of this little tour of Stephen Stills' world, Stillsapalooza, right? So I hope you enjoyed that. Just a spur of the moment, like I said. With that Edward Proghat comment, and he gave me that shout out in a video earlier this week. So I'll put a link to that video where Edward gave me the shout out in the description below. Encourage you to go over and check out his channel. It's called Proghat, Proghat, and the guy's name's Edward. Cool dude down in Texas. And actually, Edward is starting a thread. He started the other day called Heat, ripping on my one I did called Spell Summer. You got to spell Heat. I'll probably do that this weekend too, and get on that one. So anyway, wherever you are in the world, hope you're having a good summer. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.